let me just start and sort of get your opinion. I know we're all trying to chew on this as it just happened a little bit earlier this afternoon.
Well, first of all, the league had to do this. Based upon some of the other fines that have been given out, the Rich McKay fine in Atlanta, obviously the Bountygate situation in New Orleans, the Ray Farmer situation in Cleveland, you knew something occurred. The Wells report, which, by the way, this thing should not have gone to there. It could, I think, have been looked at in an entirely different manner, but that's neither here nor there. It's water under the bridge. Right now, the league did exactly what they needed to do. They needed to levy a big enough fine and have enough teeth in it that it hurt. I believe Tom will appeal it, probably get reduced down to maybe 2 games. I don't believe that the Pats will have the opportunity. The Pats will probably appeal the $1 million plus the draft choices. I don't know if that'll be changed. But people aren't really worried about what it's done to the New England Patriots. The big conversation is what it has done and will do to Tom Brady and the legacy that he has created.
Let me start from a former quarterback who understands, and in this league, those little minor details can go a long way in separating yourself in that league. I mean, if you've got a 40-yard dash and you can run a 4.4 or a 4.35 in that league where everything is so minor, a little tweak can make a big difference. How did you see underinflating the footballs? Is that cheating in your opinion?
I don't think it. To what degree were they underinflated? I mean, and to remember, the National Football League, by their rule, has a variance of PSI in footballs from 12.5 to 13.5. So, I don't know enough about all the balls that were examined. I don't know if every one of them was at a certain level. I mean, reports came out and said that they were underinflated or deflated by 2 PSI. That has subsequently been proven not to be true. So, I mean, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning went to the National Football League and said, look, we want to have the ability to rub down these footballs. Remember, there's 2 different types of footballs in the league. There are the kicking balls, and then there are the game balls. When I played, we had one football that we played with that was kicked and thrown. So it got beat up, and it did lose air, and you could tell a difference in a football. Tom happened to like his footballs at the lower end of the scale. Aaron Rodgers happened to like his at the higher end of the scale, so up around 13.5. But then if you read the text in the Wells report, one of the texts is between these guys. One of them said that a couple of the balls that the officials examined were at 16. So they had to be deflated to get down to a certain level. So I believe that the league, the fact that Tom did not turn over the texts, lent the league to think that there was something that he was hiding. The report basically comes out and says he generally should have known. He possibly should have known. I haven't heard anything that says that Tom Brady told one of those 2 guys to set it at a specific level. So to me, it's still a very confusing, convoluted situation, but it also could not have occurred at the worst possible time. With the National Football League under tremendous fire for the way they have delved out penalties, this was a high-profile case. This is one they had to go to an extreme level because of the principles involved, and they've done that. Now the process of appeal will occur.
Joe Theismann right now inside the game, but going back to those individuals who handled the balls, you were a quarterback. I don't know. I mean, did you go help us walk through this? I mean, did you go into a locker room full of 50, 75 balls and you pick out the 10 that you want, or you just play with the ones that did?
No, we didn't have to because we played with the same balls. The kicking ball and the throwing ball were the same.
But, I mean, after new balls. So, like, if you were introducing new balls to the game, would you go and say, I like this one, I like to feel this one? I mean, is this...
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You could tell if one was slicker. You could tell if one was felt different in your hands. Maybe it was underinflated. Maybe it was inflated too much. I had no idea what the PSI was of the footballs. I picked it up and I threw it. And what I find what makes the fact that this occurred is an egregious act by some people. No question about it. It affects the integrity of the game. It affects the integrity of one of the most storied franchises in the history of our game. It affects what a lot of people consider the greatest quarterback that ever played this game. But the fact of the matter is, if you break it down inside that football game, Tom Brady was more successful. The Patriots were more successful in the second half against Indianapolis than they were in the first half. They scored more points.
How do you think?
In doing so, you say, how did this affect the game? It didn't affect that particular game. It affected the integrity of the game.
I agree totally. Yeah, and I think what goes through my mind as a fan of the NFL is, if you did it once, how many times have you done it before? That's where.
Yeah, and to what degree? I mean, the thing is what this situation raises is so many questions. Why wouldn't Tom let him see the text? How many times was it done before? What was the actual PSI in the balls that were used? Who else has done it? I mean, it's just the questions go on and on and on about this particular situation. It was a huge deal the week before the Super Bowl, but what's occurring now, that week prior to the Super Bowl, pales by comparison to what we're going to see now and the effects that it'll have on Tom Brady. I mean, this is something that will stay with him his entire life. There are people out there who hate the New England Patriots, so say, see, I told you, they cheated. They cheated in 2007. Tom Brady cheated, and that's just the organization the way they are. The Patriot fans will say, listen, it didn't affect the game. It didn't affect the outcome. We don't know enough detail. So you're going to have people on both sides of the fence when it comes to this particular situation.
So you believe it will tarnish his legacy?
I think it has. Yes. You've been accused of cheating. You've been accused of violating rules. You told Chris Collinsworth the week of the Super Bowl, I didn't have anything to do with it. I personally, this is just me speaking, I don't think that Tom Brady, I believe that the things that Tom Brady represented, okay, were true. I don't believe that he told anybody to take it any less than what was legally allowed. Whether he knew what that number was or not, I don't know. But he just, really, when you stop and think about it, you're a three-time world champ. You've been to the AFC Championship game like 8 of the last 10 years. You've established yourself in this game. You're a high-profile individual. Why would you expose yourself to this? I mean, first of all, it makes absolutely no sense for Tom to do anything that is wrong. And then to come out and tell Chris Collinsworth, I absolutely didn't do anything wrong. To make a public statement, I absolutely did nothing wrong. Now he's going to be, here's the situation. He either has to come out and say, I lied, or he has to stand by his story. I'm betting he stands by his story.
Joe Theismann right now inside the game. Final few minutes here as we visit with Joe Theismann inside the game here in Tuscaloosa. I go back, and one of the reasons why I scheduled you to be on, I knew that this had a possibility of breaking this afternoon, but I wanted to see, on another note, I want to talk about cloning a quarterback. If we could go in and clone a quarterback and develop one, what would be the ideal situation in a quarterback? What is the most important thing when we're grooming a quarterback? Is it decision making? Is that it, or are we looking for physical tools, the arm strength, the legs? What is the most important part of being a successful quarterback, college or pro?
I don't believe that you can isolate just one, because it's a combination. But if I would lean in one area, it would be decisions. What do you do with the football? How do you protect the football? If you're in an area where you can get field goals, making sure you don't take a sack on first down. Make sure you protect the distance so that you can put points on the board. If it's bad weather, handle it properly. When you take a snap from center, you have to ride the center if it's goal line and short yardage. There are a lot of little technical elements that go into playing the position, but decisions would be, in my mind, number one. You don't have to have the strongest arm if you make the right decision. You don't have to throw the tightest spiral if you make the right decision. I think decisions is number one, physical skills are number two, and a system that complements your physical skill set. You give me those three things, and I can build myself a quarterback. I could build a clone that works for me. The problem you have at the college level is you're only allowed 20 hours to work with a coach during the course of a week. During that course of the week, 4 of those hours are a football game. So it's very difficult to develop an individual with 16 hours during 6 days to be able to give that kid a chance to be able to develop the skill set that he needs.
This goes back to work ethic. Is that what separates the good ones now from the great ones?
Well, if you're not being coached, I could go out and hit golf balls for hours. But if I don't have somebody telling me, no, you know what, you're casting with the club. You've got to flatten it out a little bit more like Sergio, flatten it out a little bit more. Or you need to fire your hips like Ricky does. I mean, Ricky Fowler, who won the Players yesterday, is 5'8". His last drive was 336 on 18. I mean, it's you're talking about being able to build the foundation to work on, and unfortunately, college kids, if you can run, we're going to run the ball more. If you can throw, we're going to utilize your legs and throw. So I mean, what you wind up with is a pretty decent football player who has to be developed when he gets to the pro level. I mean, Tom Brady, Joe Montana. I mean, I was runner-up to the Heisman Trophy. I was a 4th-round pick. Joe Montana, 3rd-round pick. Tom Brady, a 7th or 6th-round pick. I mean, it just tells you in college it's very difficult to evaluate. Now with the spread offenses, you don't get a chance to kneel down in a huddle and call plays. So just the most basic elements of the game are being overlooked because you play in a certain conference that plays a certain way. This is why I love what Nick Saban does at Alabama. Nick Saban builds these kids not only for his system, but gives them a chance to be able to move to the next level. Number one, he stresses an education. You come to Alabama, it's just like I believe the same at Notre Dame. You come here, we're going to help you get where you want to go. John Calipari with the basketball players. I mean, you realize how many freshmen have got on into the NBA from Cal's program, and yet it's still a top 2 program in the nation in basketball. But I mean, it's a tough thing to be able to get the kids to be able to do the things that they need to do because of the restraints that they have regarding policies at the college level.
Do you like the hurry-up, no-huddle offenses that sort of spread them out and really it's not what that works in the NFL, but I mean, it's trying to.
Yes,
but do you like
for
it?
College football, it's great. Yeah, I do. I think it's very entertaining. It means that if I have better athletes than you, I'm going to be successful because you don't get enough time to be able to try and defend me. You won't get any time to defend me. So if I have somebody who can run past you, you don't have anybody who can cover them. That's the kind of offense we're going to run. If I have a quarterback that can run and challenge the edge, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to come at you so fast that you have to play a vanilla defense and you can't get complex. So I think it's fun for college football. But you've seen it doesn't work at the pro level.